Hi, it's Heather from Strings and Threads. Today is going to be the start of the video tutorial for this sweater. I'll show you. This is just a pattern that I made up. Now, I just want to preface this by saying I'm not a seamstress. I don't know if anything that I've done is correct. I'm just going to show you what I did to measure it up and to make it for myself so that you can do the same. This isn't going to be one of those patterns that say 4 size small, this many chains, 4 size medium, this many chains. I'm just going to show you how to measure it up on yourself like I did for this one so it can be custom made to you. I am going to do a couple of changes, and if you like the way that it is here that I'm going to change, I will let you know what you can do to make it more like this. I feel like on this one, the neck is way too big. It comes all the way up like this. If you like a big neck like that, when we get to the next section, you'll just add more rows. But I think I'm gonna have something that's more the size of my neck here. And also, I think I started the sleeves a little bit too big, and I did do a decrease so that they're like more of a normal size here, but I'm going to probably not do such floppy armpits in this. If I keep my arms down, you don't really notice it too much. And I have worn this out a couple of times and nobody said anything like that's a weird looking sweater or anything like that. Of course, that's not saying much. Maybe somebody thought that and didn't tell me. But when I made this, I wear a size extra large. So if you're an extra large, you might be able to copy what I'm doing. I used 5 of these Karen marble cakes, 8.5 ounce. This color specifically, if you wanted to copy the same color, is Rosewater Plum. There's the number for it too, if you wanted to do a screenshot of that. So for extra large, I used 5 of these. Now maybe with the shorter neck and less bulky armpits, maybe it would be 4, I'm not sure, but you know, if you were going to copy, I would get 5 just to be on the safe side. I'm going to make another one for myself, a little bit more, you know, tailored to my liking. I'm going to use this Serenity Premier. I got this specifically because it was on sale at Walmart when I went there. So I realize black is probably a hard color to see in, so I will show you the stitches in a different color. But when I start working up my sweater, I will, you know, on the side be doing it here. But the stitches are really not the most worrisome thing of this pattern, because the stitch is super easy and it's the same stitch for the entire sweater. So once you get the stitch, you're not going to really need to see me doing it. We're going to need to focus more on where you decrease, where, you know, how many stitches, how you measure out how many stitches you're going to need for certain parts of it. So, you know, I know you're getting anxious for the video tutorial, so I will get to that. I'm going to turn this around and let you know where we're going to start with it. To start, we're going to start at the bottom of the neck and then work up the hood. I'm hoping that this video will cover that much. So with your yarn, the yarn that I picked is a very thick yarn, so I'm going to use an N hook, which is, I don't know if that shows, but it's a 9 millimeter. But what you can do is look at the yarn that you have chosen and see what hook size they recommend and go with that, or just you pick the hook size that you want. It's not going to make a difference because I'm showing you how to measure it for yourself. So as long as you're using the same hook for the whole project, it's not going to matter. So we're going to start by chaining, and I'll show you enough that it's kind of go by your shirt line so that it goes about the same distance as the bottom of your neckline. Not tight because you'll have trouble putting your head through it. Let me do mine and then I'll show you how mine looks. For my type of yarn with the N hook, it was 60 chains for me. And So it kind of comes around. I'll turn around, you should be able to see because of my hair. Something that you can fit over your head, but with not a ton of extra wiggle room. So then we are going to join with the first. I will show you the next stitch with a different color yarn, but we're just going to join and make a circle here. So you bring that through the first so that you have a circle like this. I'm gonna change the camera view so you can see what the stitch will be. All right, I just did a mini circle here with the pink so that I can show you what we're going to do. So you're going to chain 3, and this will count as 1 double crochet. So in the first stitch, you'll put another 2 double crochets in that same stitch. You're not going to chain here. You're going to skip 1 chain and then double crochet 3 in the next chain. So it's going to be, and this is really the pattern for the stitch, basically for the whole thing. The only thing that's different is the edging around the bottom, which I'll show you when we get to that, and the edging around the sleeves. Okay, so then you're going to skip the next chain and put 3 double crochets in the next. I'm going to come back when I get to the end of the row and then show you how you join up with the first one and how many rows to do. Okay, I came all the way around and I made sure it wasn't twisted anywhere. If you have a twist, you'll need to go back and figure out where you got twisted around and fix that, because otherwise it's going to look a little funny. We're not doing the twisted shawl here. So on your initial chain, on the third chain, 1, 2, 3, you're going to put your hook through and just do a slip stitch through so that it's all joined up. From here on out, it's really quite simple. You're going to chain 3, and this space right here to the right of where your first chain is, you're going to put 2 more double crochets. And then you skip to the next space between the 2. Now, there's no chain there, but it's just you would count 1, 2, 3, and then you would put another group of 3 in between each of the other groups of 3. I'll show you one more here. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. You can always go back and rewatch if you're unclear. So here's another group of 3. I'm going to skip the group of 3 and go to the space that's between the groups of 3. And then when I get to the end of the row, I will join up like I did with the other row in the third chain of the first one here. 1, 2, 3. So I would join up in here, chain 3, and then in the space right to the right of the first chain here of the row, I will do another 2 double crochets, and then in between each grouping of 3, I will put a new grouping of 3. So you will keep going, keep adding rows to this until you get the neck length that you would like. So for me, I'm probably just going to bring it about to the top of my neck before my chin starts. If you would like a really thick neck, you can add more rows. If you don't want it to be as thick, you don't have to. So we'll come back when we have the correct length, thickness, whatever you want to call it for the neck, and I'll show you how mine turned out. Okay, I ended up doing 3 rows for my neckline. I have a very small one on mine. I can show you. I actually started to go ahead a little bit. I'm going to give you the next directions. But from here to here was what I did for the neckline. So on my little mini sweater here, I'm going to show you what comes next. So we're going to break away and start making the hood. this is going to be very close to what we have been doing. You're going to chain 3, and then in this space right here to the right of the original chain, we're going to put 2 more double crochets. And since this is small, I will go around and show you then where we will stop with this. Okay, so now I've gotten to the point where I have 2 groupings of 3 and 1 space between them, and that's where I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to turn, and I'm going to chain 3. There's going to be a pattern that's going to start showing here. So in this first row, or this row that I just completed, it ends with a group of 3. So I'm going to skip that group of 3. I'm going to chain 3, skip that group of 3, and then go to the next space between the groups of 3 and make another group of 3. Let me speed this up to come around to the other side to show you how that row ends. Okay, so now I'm almost back to the beginning. So what I'm going to do is just do a double crochet. In this first group of 3, I'm just going to do it between the chain and the first double crochet of that row. So now I will show you a little bit more, but I'm going to explain the pattern. So the pattern here is that when you see 1 double crochet or chain at the very beginning and end of a row, you're going to put 3 double crochets right after that single one. I hope this is making sense. So always chain 3 to start. There's a space here, and then there's a group of 3. I'm going to put 3 in here. And then as I come around, I will end by putting 3 in this last one here. I'll come around when that's done to show you the next row. It's a 2-row pattern. All right, I'm to the end of that row, and at the end of the row, it ends with a chain and then a group of 3 double crochets. And in that chain, I'm going to put 3 double crochets. So your row, this is a 2-row pattern, like I said. Your row is either going to start and end with 3 double crochets like this one does. 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets. This chain cluster counts as a double crochet. Or it's going to end with just 1 double crochet or 1 chain cluster of 3. So when it ends with the 3 double crochets, starts and ends with the 3 double crochets, you turn, you chain 3 like you always do at the beginning of each row, but then you skip this chain 3 group and you do a group of 3 cluster, and then the next row, let's say we made it to the end and came back around, the next row you would put a group of 3 in the space here. And you follow that 2-row pattern until the hood is as tall as you would like it to be. And I'll come back and I'll show you how big I'm going to make mine. Hi. So I wanted to show you, let me put this up a little bit so you can kind of see how big. Look at the neck first. That's about how big I did my neck. I didn't want to have a huge gigantic neck like the other sweater did, but if you like that, that's perfectly fine. The hood, you want to come up tall enough so that you'll be able to put it down without an issue. I mean, if it was a little bit tighter, it would probably still be okay. You can kind of see how much over my head it goes. And like I said, yours doesn't have to be that tall, but you want it to be tall enough that you can sew the top parts shut. So the next thing, I'm going to take this off. You're going to turn it inside out and cut a tail with your yarn. And inside out, you want to sew across the top here shut. I'll come back when mine's done. Okay, so I sewed my top shut and turned it right side out. So remember to turn it right side out because we're going to be working with it right side out from now on. And this is the last step that we're going to do for this week. Next week we'll work on the string that comes down with the pom-poms on the end and then how that attaches. I know those hand motions meant nothing to you. I'm so sorry. I was trying to figure out how to say it, but let me put my hood on to show you how it turned out. It's going to look a lot more refined and finished after next week's tutorial, but this is where we're going to end for today. And then you can put your hood down in the back. So thank you for watching this week, and part 2 of the hooded sweater pattern will come out next Wednesday. Thank you.